I'm Elaine and welcome to my kitchen. Well, today we're going to be making a lemon pound cake. Now it's not going to be a great big pound cake, you know, the kind you make in like a 10-inch tube pan. This is going to be in a loaf pan. So it's perfect for a smaller family or just two people. But my daughter is going to be coming down tomorrow, so she's going to be the one probably eating this, so because it's one of her favorites. So let's go ahead and get this started. So I'm going to turn you down here so you can see. Make that a little bigger. Okay, bring that up a little. There we go. All right. And so what we're going to do is in my mixing bowl, I'm going to put in 2 sticks or 1 full cup of butter, and this has been softened at room temperature. Okay, and then to that we're going to add 1 2/3 cups of sugar, and then 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to use my hand to measure this, because I can usually eyeball that pretty well. So, okay. Alright, so we're going to get this started mixing. And, alright, so let's just get this started. I'm going to just kind of mix this a little bit. Alright, that's just to get it started. Now I have 5 eggs. These eggs are at room temperature, and I'm going to be adding these one at a time. Now the eggs are going to actually act as the leavening in this recipe. It doesn't have any baking soda or powder or anything because it is a pound cake, and pound cakes are a little more dense. So the eggs are going to actually act as the leavening and make it rise. Alright, there's the first one. These are large eggs. Alright. That was the second one. Let's add the third one in here. Alright. And there's the fourth one. Okay, and then here is the fifth one. Whoops, I think that jarred you. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cream this a little more and get this nice and fluffy, and when I get that done I will be right back. Okay, I'm back, and our egg mixture is ready. You can see this is nice and fluffy. So what I'm going to do now, I think I beat this for about 5 minutes, by the way, on a high speed to get it to this consistency. And also, I neglected to tell you that I've preheated my oven to 325 degrees. And then I have greased and floured. This is about a 9-inch loaf pan, and I have put a piece of parchment paper in the bottom of it because this has got to bake for a good while, for 55 minutes, and I don't want the bottom to get too brown. Okay, so we're going to add our flour, and this is 2 cups of flour that has been sifted first and then measured. You always want to sift it before you measure it, and that way you're ensuring that you have an accurate measurement. And so we're just going to mix this part in by hand. This is also something that I do because I don't want to over mix this. When you over mix cake batter like this from scratch, you kind of get the gluten started working, and when that happens, you actually can drastically change the texture of your cake, and it can be dry or crumbly or too heavy, or there's any number of things that it will do. I've had many accidents with my cakes due to over mixing, so we're just going to mix this by hand. This recipe, I remember I first got this recipe back in the, must have been in the late 70s, maybe early 80s, from a cookbook that I had. And it's actually a very good recipe, and makes a really nice moist pound cake. So, and that's the thing with pound cakes, you do want them to be moist. They also are more dense. They're not like a layer cake, with the light and fluffy like a layer cake. They're a little more dense, but they should still be moist even though they're dense. And so this one usually turns out very moist. Okay, so we're going to add a little more of that flour and keep that going. Okay, and now this one, when we get all this flour in, we're going to add the juice of 1 lemon, and along with the rind. And I don't have that, but what I do have is the equivalent. I have 3 and maybe 3.5 tablespoons or so of reconstituted lemon juice from the bottle, and that works out just fine. But you can still use the lemon zest and the juice from 1 lemon if you'd rather do it that way. I just didn't happen to have a lemon on hand. Okay, let's put the rest of that flour in there. And I hope you all are having a really good day. It's been kind of busy around here. I think in my last video I told you that our little dog had passed away, and then my mother-in-law had been in the hospital, and she was being sent back to Wilmington to be to a rehab facility nearby. And so she should be being released very soon. She's doing very well, doing much better than she was. And then my daughter is coming down to, she wants to see her. Okay, we're going to add that lemon juice. There we go. Then we had some issues with our other dog. She apparently was grieving for Dixie, the one that passed away. Jada was grieving for her so badly that she got very sick on us too, and the veterinarian, they ran blood work, and they finally said it was mainly just stress. The dog was stressed out from not having her friend, I guess. And plus we had to make a few long trips from where my mother-in-law was. It was about 500 miles round trip. And so we had to board her a little bit, and I think her little world just sort of turned upside down there for a while. But she's doing good now. She's back to normal. Okay, now if you wanted to, you could put this back on the mixer for no more than, 10 seconds or so. I'm not going to do that because it looks like I have it pretty thoroughly mixed just from this. So let me go ahead and get my loaf pan. Okay, and we're just going to pour that batter right in there. And you notice this didn't take any vanilla or anything because our lemon juice is going to give it its flavor. And it's going to be a nice mild lemon flavor. It's not a real strong lemony flavor like maybe some you get in the supermarket. And I think it's because we didn't use any artificial lemon flavoring in it. We just used the straight lemon juice. Okay, get that out of the way. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of start smoothing this batter out and maybe make a little indent in the center. Because cakes tend to dome when they rise, they create that dome, so a little less likely if you just put a little valley in the middle. Okay, stir this, get that off of there. You want to get as much of that batter as possible, because this is going to be a very nice, very good cake. Okay. All right. You turn you back up. Whoops, went the wrong way. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to be baking this at 325 degrees for 55 minutes. I'm going to check on it, see how it's doing, and when it's done and I'm ready to show it to you, we will be back. Okay, my pound cake is done, and there it is. And you can see how moist that turned out. Came out really well. And I think my daughter's going to be very pleased with it. So let me turn the camera back up so I can talk to you. Whoopsie. Okay, there we go. All right, and I am going to put a link below to all the ingredients so you can make this yourself if you like to. Now in my oven, I baked it at 325 degrees, and it took about an hour and 20 minutes. And the original recipe called for 350 degrees at 55 minutes, but I found out in my oven gets very hot, I guess, and it burned up when I tried that temperature in my oven. So I have reduced the heat down to 325, and I do it for an hour and a half, and it turned out pretty well. I did get just a tad brown around the edges, but that's okay. It's not going to hurt it. And it came out, so I think it came out pretty well. And again, I'm going to be listing the ingredients below so you can try this yourself. And since my daughter and her family are coming down, I'm also going to be making the Hershey's Perfectly Chocolate Cake, because my granddaughter absolutely adores that cake. And so I'll also put a link below. I've already done a video on that particular cake, so I'm going to put a link below in the description so you can do that, check out that recipe as well if you'd like. So, okay, so I do thank you all for watching, and you have a great rest of the weekend. See you next time.